gonna start with the movie clip.
Okay, I'm gonna get my big noggin out of the way. We're gonna show you.
Yeah. So I'm Eric,
And I'm Josh.
and we are here to talk about friendship.
How many of you went to Beaver Lake Middle School?
Yes.
Represent Beaver Lake Middle School. Because there's state you do. And there's a rivalry here because
Pine Lake Middle School.
how many went to Pine Lake Middle School?
Yeah, 6th grade.
And then who went to something other than someplace other than Beaver
Let's
Lake?
go.
Beaver Lake wins the record there.
All right, we're gonna get out of the way because we're gonna kick this off.
As time went on, he saw less and less of Teddy and Berg.
This movie is
Eventually,
Stand
they
By
became
Me.
just two more faces in the halls. It happens sometimes. Friends come in and out of your life like busboys in a restaurant. I heard that Vern got married out of high school, had 4 kids, and is now the forklift operator at the Arsenault Lumberyard.
There's a prayer at the end of this movie.
Teddy tried several times to get into the army, but his eyes and his ear kept him out. Last I'd heard, he'd spent some time in jail and was now doing odd jobs around Castle Rock.
He's gonna ask Jesus a question at the end.
I'm never gonna get out of this town, am I, Gory? You can do anything you want. Yeah. Sure. Give me some skin. I'll see you. Not if I see you first.
Chris did get out. He enrolled in the college courses with me, and although it was hard, he gutted it out like he always did. He went on to college and eventually became a lawyer. Last week, he entered a fast food restaurant. Just ahead of him, 2 men got into an argument. One of them pulled a knife. Chris, who had always made the best piece, tried to break it up. He was stabbed in the throat. He died almost instantly.
Dad, can we go now?
You ready?
Yeah, we've been ready for an hour.
Okay, I'll be right there.
I said that a half hour ago.
Yeah, my dad's weird. He gets like that when he's ready.
That's the question he asked.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of pausing in old movies. All right.
Oh, the classic song.
Stand By Me.
You want to know the song Stand By Me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you do. That's where the movie came from. Very morbid movie, by the way. Yeah. He's gory. All right. So we were watching that clip, and this is kind of my take on it. So for this kid, he's now older, but he's reminiscing about his friendships, and what he comes to the conclusion was he never had a stronger friendship with anybody than when he was 12 years old. And in other words, that his friendship had peaked at 12 years old. Right? He's older now, and he says that he still never had a friendship as close to that as 12. So here's a question that I want to throw out that you don't have to answer out loud. But can you think of a time maybe younger, 5, 7, 11 years old or whatever, where you had a friendship that was just solid, like you were just tight with somebody, and you thought at the time this is what friendship is all about. Like, we are the closest of friends. But now that time has moved on, that's not the case anymore. So, and maybe for some of you, you still are great friends with that same person. Maybe there's people in this room that have known each other since they were 5 and they're still awesome friends. But I would guess that there are people that have had best friends that are no longer best friends. So in other words, that friendship peaked at a certain time. It got as strong as it can get, and then for some reason, for whatever reason, you're not friends anymore.
And for me in high school, that was a guy named Rob Cole. And Rob Cole and I were, quote-unquote, best friends. We did everything together. We were at each other's houses every weekend. We played on the same sport team. We played in a band together. We competed against each other. We went to Sonic and Husky games more than I can count, trying to get autographs after games. That was just our thing. We would like, oh, please, will you sign this and that? We did everything there. We competed against each other. We were both pretty competitive back then. We competed over the same girl. I won. Betsy Robertson became my girlfriend. Okay. And Betsy was her name. Yes, that name doesn't. Anybody know a girl named Betsy? Okay, thank you. And I won that one. We competed over junior class president in high school. We went head to head, and he got his revenge, and he was junior class and senior class president. So we were tight. The point being, we were tight. And if you would have asked us at that point if we would ever not be just super best friends, we would have said absolutely not. Are we still friends today? Yeah. Here's how old I am, I'll give it away. I was at my 20th high school reunion last summer. And we spent the entire weekend at his parents' house. We had a great time. We're still friends today.
So in high school, I primarily hung out with 6 guys. And we were absolutely inseparable. We did everything together. One of those guys was Greg Bjarnason. And Greg and I, just like Rob and Josh, same thing, same interests, interest in music, interest in girls, interest in sports, same types of stuff. We did everything together. Greg did, sometimes not that you're friends with people that have cool houses, but it's pretty sweet when someone does have a cool house.
Rob had a way cooler house.
Yeah, Greg had a crappy house. And he really didn't have any good food or anything, but what Greg did have is he had a flat roof that was easy to get up onto. And Greg had really attractive college-aged females that would sunbathe next door, and we would all hike up there and just peek over the fence and watch them. So that's what Greg had to offer. I said I would at least embarrass Maya once if I could possibly do that. So similar situation. Greg and I, we have lots of experiences, lots of memories together, and we are still friends today.
At this point, we want to introduce you briefly to 2 additional friends. Okay? For me, this was my good friend Lance. And Lance and I we did the math here before we came in here. You guys weren't alive when Lance and I were on summer staff. In the summer of '93, we went up. I basically graduated the day here's how crazy this was. I graduated, the day I graduated, we had a morning ceremony at our school. We were a smaller school in South Whitby. And that very night, I'm up in Bellingham on Lake Whatcom at Camp Furwood. And anybody know Camp Furwood? Shout out to Furwood. All right, Bellingham, baby. And I'm going on, I take a leap of faith, and I joined this summer staff. And this was not like just a 3 or 4 week stint of summer staff, like work crew or something. This was, you signed up from June 12 to August 34. Last week in August. Did I say 34th? August 31st. Whatever. August doesn't even have 31 days. Anyway, full summer. So I'm sleeping in this cabin, and I'm not knowing a soul. And I'm freaked out, actually, because I left all my good high school friends, including Rob, and now I'm up, don't know a soul. The next day, I go into Longhouse, and it's called Leadership Training Week. And basically, Leadership Training Week, we're all just trying, in a week, you bond, and then kids come. And so basically we were in this place called the Longhouse where we eat, and where we eat, they play music we're setting tables, and then the kids come in and the music's pumping, kind of like it is in this place, and sets the mood. So we're listening to this song by an artist named Bobby Brown. He was an 80s hip-hop dance guy, and I've always wanted to dance like Bobby Brown. And there was a guy in the Longhouse setting up for a meal that could dance, in my opinion, like Bobby Brown. I mean, this guy had the most, and I'm going to save myself the embarrassment of trying to imitate my friend Lance, but this guy knew every word. When it got to the hip-hop part, he was just, And this guy was incredible, and I was like, you know what? That guy's got what we call today the swag factor. Okay, we didn't use it. Okay. And I mean, this guy had it, and I instantly go, you know what? I'm gonna be friends with that guy. I've got to be friends with that guy. That guy's got what I want, and the rest was history. We spent the rest of the summer together as counselors, and we are still friends to this day.
So I met Matt Snyder when I was in kindergarten, and we were in the same class together. And even back at 5 years old, Matt was like my ultimate protector. I remember I went to Hawaii and I got like I'm super light skinned, and I got crazy sunburnt. And this guy Mickey Morelli came up to me at recess and like, how brutal is this? He came up to me to deliberately take his claws and like pop all of the blisters on my shoulders, and Matt beat the tar out of him. It was awesome. Matt is the best athlete I've ever seen still to this day. I'm 44, he's 44, and he's still a phenomenal athlete. We had the same just crazy, bizarre sense of humor. We both play the guitar and love music. We spent all sorts of nights just laying on my bed looking at or listening to Pink Floyd and the Rolling Stones and actual good bands. And we played sports together. Basketball was our thing, and we grew up on Mercer Island, so Mercer Island basketball was a big deal. So a little story with Matt that epitomizes, I think, what kind of guy Matt is. I know nowadays there's tournaments galore, right? It's basketball tournaments every single weekend. It doesn't really seem maybe like one is bigger than the other. But when I was in 6th grade, the biggest tournament was in Texas. And you had to qualify for the tournament. You actually had to beat a team from Issaquah to get there. It was really awesome. And so we qualified to go to this tournament. And it was the very last game. It was the championship game. And my team was up by 1 point. There was 3 seconds to go against Amarillo, Texas. We were playing in this little dome stadium. There was all sorts of people. It was pretty intense for being 12. The other team, we fouled the other team with 3 seconds to go. So they had a free throw. I was a taller guy, so I was down on the block, and I was waiting to box out and get a rebound. All I had to do was get the rebound, and basically the game was over. Ref gives the ball to the guy at the free throw line, takes a couple dribbles. You get 10 seconds to shoot. I'm standing there with my hands up, and the guy takes like 9 3/4 seconds. And I lose my balance, and I fall into the lane as he's shooting his shot. Whistle blows. Lane violation number 42. Guy misses the shot. Ref gives him the ball. He gets another shot. He makes it. He hits the next shot, and we lose the championship. All because of me. Right? So like the man that I was at 12, I was crying like a little baby. And Matt should have been just ticked off, and he could have been thinking about himself and how he was, lost. And there were definitely people on the floor that were thinking that. But Matt was immediately over to me, totally consoling me, saying that it was okay. And I thought, that is a really rare trait for a kid that's 12 who also just lost the championship, come over and he cared more about me than about himself. That was over 30 years ago, and Matt and I are still friends. So here's the deal. I'm still friends with Matt, and I'm still friends with Greg. I see Greg quite often. I'll see him, backyard barbecues. I'll see him at Husky games. And when we see each other, it's great. We smile, we laugh, we high five, we laugh about the experiences that we've had, and we share certain things. But that relationship with Greg is not even close to the relationship I have with Matt. And you can probably guess where this is going and why. Because when I see Matt, I talk about all that same stuff. The same stories, we laugh about the same stuff. But Matt is a Christian, and I'm a Christian. And there is a level of depth to that type of friendship that I could never have with Greg. There are things that I could never say to Greg. There are things that I've tried to say to Greg, and he just put the hand up and I don't want to talk about this. But with Matt, it was bring it on. So with Matt, we still today talk about family. We talk about pain that we're going through. We pray for each other. When we do things together that I could never do with somebody that is not a Christian. So I would say that for Matt, he's basically like Oprah Winfrey to me, or Dr. Phil, and vice versa. And I think that our relationship, even though I've known the guy since I'm 5, that's a relationship that will never peak. There will always be things for me to learn about Matt, and always reasons for us to hang out. And it's because you can only go so far, I believe, with a person that's not a Christian, but with someone that is a Christian, there is this whole other realm that you get to explore. So Matt is my best friend.
It's absolutely the same way with my friendships with Rob and my friendships with Lance. with Rob, like I said, we saw each other at our 20th high school reunion, and I loved high school. High school was a really good time for me. It was a really positive time. Sometimes even today I look at you guys and I get a little envious and I say, yeah, I'd take that trip back. I'd be in high school again, absolutely. But with Rob, we definitely have peaked as well. It was evident, it was never more evident than in your high school reunion. You know, even my best friend, what did we do when we got together? We rehashed all our old stories and all our old memories, and we had some crazy times, but you just felt like that was it, because that's all I had in common with Rob. With Lance, while we are crazy together, while we have good times together, I don't have there's not a guy in my life that I have more inside jokes with and enjoy more than Lance. But if you use this peaking or this mountain climbing analogy, we would only go to base camp, you know, with someone like Greg or someone like Rob. You know, I would take a day hike with the guy, okay? But if I'm gonna summit a mountain, if I'm gonna go up a mountain, if I'm gonna rely on someone, I'm taking Lance every time. We pursue each other. He pursues me, I pursue him. If we go a month without seeing each other, he lives up in Bellingham. If we go a month without seeing each other, something's wrong, okay? His family is like my family is like his family. We lean on each other. We seek each other out, we support each other. He's in the back right now, and he's supporting me.
Lance.
There's my good friend Lance, right back there.
Lance.
Later you can ask him to do his Bobby Brown impression, because he is dying to do that for you. But basically, I'd summit with someone like Lance, and I'd take a day hike with a guy named Rob. I want to turn to the Bible, because where are we going with this? We got to tie it in the Bible here. In the Bible, if you go into the Old Testament, you have the epic friendship of two guys in 1 Samuel named David and Jonathan. And starts in 1 Samuel 18 if you want to go and read, but so I'm going to paraphrase just briefly because it spans several chapters. But basically, after David comes back fighting and killing Goliath, Jonathan sees that, is impressed by that. Who wouldn't be impressed by that? He's impressed by David's courage, his strength, and he sees that courage and that strength comes from God. And so Jonathan is immediately kind of in a couple verses. It doesn't really give too much background in 1 Samuel. It just says, then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan took his robe, gave it to David, his armor, his sword, they almost instantly bonded because they had God in common. They later stories, there's other stories that you can read about the two, and basically Jonathan's dad was Saul, and Saul was super jealous of David, and so Saul wanted to kill David, but there's a problem there because Jonathan was his son, and so Jonathan, sticking up for David, advocated for him, went and visited him when he was in hiding, put his life on the line for David, and David put his life on the line for Jonathan, and that's because they had God in common. That's because they had Christ in common. There's also a verse, if I can get there quickly, in, let's see if I can. Yeah, I did. Got there quickly. Awesome. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And when Lance and I share Christ in common, he might as well be my brother. He might as well be closer than my brother because we have God in common.
So that leads us to Josh and I. We were both teachers in the Issaquah School District, and we first met when we had to go to really boring teacher workshops. And
teachers do a lot of boring stuff.
Yeah, we were always the guys that were not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So we would hang out in the back. We would be laughing and telling jokes and being sarcastic.
We are hilarious.
Yeah,
we think we're hilarious.
But that was cool. I mean, that was similar to even to Greg. You know, we had the same similar relationship. But we also figured out really fast that we were Christians, and before we knew it, we were here at SBC. We were leading youth group in this room on that couch. That's my couch, by the way. I used to own that. And there was a mouse that came out of it one Sunday.
Oh, now I don't like sitting here.
And we did Young Life together forever, and again, it's that we haven't known each other for as long as some relationships that I've had, and I've known other people a lot longer, but I'm way closer to Josh than I am to those people, and again, it's that factor that we both share that same faith, so that depth is so much more. So where does what does all this have to do with you? So in our opinion, you guys are right where you need to be, and by that I mean at core, in the box, at this church, at some kind of small group. We think that is so absolutely critical. I was talking to Maya the other day, and I was she was telling me, the question was asked to her, like, what is her favorite place in the world? And her answer at first kind of shocked me, because I was thinking, that she would have said Maui or Lake Chelan, or we traveled to Europe a couple summers ago, and she said the box. And I at first was like, really? I've been to the box, and it's, but it had nothing to do with the physical presence. Some of you might know her story. Middle school was not a great time for her, and even the beginning of high school wasn't a good time for her. But through it all, she had Josh, she had Amber, and she had you guys, and so it makes total sense, because this is the one place that she could always be herself and not be judged by people and not feel like she had to be someone else. And the other really important thing I think about coming to a place like this, coming to Core, is that eventually you're not going to be here. You're going to graduate, you're going to go on to school or whatever. But I think coming to a place like this I think Christ instills in you a craving for this kind of thing, for this kind of Christian community. And for me, that was true. I went to the University of Washington, and I went to a place called the Inn. And when college was over, I had to find what was going to be the next inn. And it wasn't necessarily a church, but it was a group of people. And even today, now, we're still like this. We can actually hit those slides now. Just the other day in Good Friday service, we went over to our friends the Fosters, and we usually just go over there and hang out and barbecue and jump off the dock, and we do that once a month, no matter what the temperature or what's happening outside. And so it was freezing, but we realized, oh my gosh, it's Good Friday. I can't believe we're not going to Good Friday service. So we turned this into Good Friday. And so go ahead and go to the next one. So we sat there on the dock, and we started the night with worship and prayer and little, there's Berg doing something.
Look at my nose, the side view of my nose. I'm kind of proud of my nose.
And we got friends, we got kids.
I look excited. See?
Yeah. That's totally pumped. There's one more, but it's not that exciting. So that was John Foster, and he was like the makeshift pastor of the night, or just kind of led everything. And it was hilarious. He turned it into a little SBC. He offered a little mug to any visitors. Well, we had no visitors there, but and I just thought that kind of thing right there, that didn't just come naturally. That came all the way back to places like this, where it is instilled in you that you love this. Like, this is where you want to be.
We're really old, and we've been around a lot of students in our day, and we've done Young Life and SPC, and a lot of times as they're about to head off to college, my words of wisdom for them are, as you're getting to know your new college campus and your surroundings. Do we have any seniors in the room? Any seniors represent? Holla, holla. As you go off to your different campuses, and you get to know, okay, where are my classes, first of all? Then where are the other places on campus that we hang out? And then you get a little more brave and you go off campus and you say, where's the burger joint that I'm going to spend? Where's the place I'm going to go watch the game? And you're learning your community. It is infinitely more important to add to your list of things I got to get to know, people I've got to get to. Where is my Christian community? Where is my place going to be? Now, it's not the most attractive thing maybe right off the bat as you head off to college. There's a lot of things pulling and going, and you go, wow, really? Seriously? No way. But it's so much more valuable to say, okay, where's my church? Okay, if not my church, if Sunday morning just is too much for a college student, where's my Christian community? Where's my Tuesday night at the inn? Okay? So as you get to, and you acclimate to your new communities, it's just as important to seek this kind of community and these kind of friendships out.
You're gonna wrap this up.
So, with that being said,
We have
basically,
some questions for your small group that a little bit about this kind of stuff.
but we're gonna close in prayer, and we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna thank Christ for the friendships that are in this room, and the friendships that you have with other Christian brothers and sisters that are not in this room. And then we just want to pray for you that you will continue to kind of. Well, I'm just gonna pray instead of telling
Put
you.
your arm around somebody. We're all buddies.
We're all friends. Although, if you don't like